Welcome to the LinkedIn Power Lab webinar about the daily LinkedIn activities. Today is Monday, the 18th of October, 2021. We have a much smaller crowd today, but therefore more intense, and I know all of you who attended today actually also in person. So what I would like to cover today, as I do not need to introduce myself too much to yourself, but at least to all others who are only seeing the recording. So that's me. My name is Gunnar, sitting opposite of one of my favorite buildings, one of the very few, if not the only one in Sydney without a flat roof, or whatever flat means. So then that's there. And I'm working as a social selling blogger. I created a couple of online courses and also wrote some books. So let's look what I prepared for today. So as typical for the webinars, I divided into 3 areas. First is about preparing the foundation, then planning the work, and then performing and convert. And as even more typical, these 3 things all start with a P because I love the same letters. So how to prepare activities for LinkedIn. So here we have typical newspapers from good old times, because I strongly believe that LinkedIn is my newspaper. I read a lot in there, and that's quite good. But the question would be, how much time do you spend on LinkedIn per day? So let's use the chat room so that we can write something there. So how much time do you spend, as a typo, on LinkedIn a day? For me, maybe 60 minutes when I do not count writing on it. So let's see who else is writing in the chat. Typical feedback that I normally get from the audience would be from 5 to 55 minutes. Not sure. Yeah, 10 to 35. Yeah, that I think it's also good. The only question, how can we make this most efficient? So let's look what is the approach. So the question, where do you start? Many people go to LinkedIn, maybe even on a desktop, type in LinkedIn with something in mind, and then they see all of the feed. So this was just by today, and I've seen some stats maybe on the left-hand side, but most over a lot of what's there from the people who write, some news, and so on. It's not always relevant to me. So then when we see what's there, network updates, post from people of my network. Then I mentioned news articles. You can see on the right-hand side all the stuff. And then today's news and views, sponsored content. You can see there as well. From Tourism Australia, for example. There could also be Advantage Australia. Advantage Austria, sorry. And then even job suggestion, I deleted this because I'm not in that market for that. So the question is, what of these old stuff is actually relevant? Maybe not that much. And that is a tricky thing. How can we do this better? In my view, we are the editors of our own newspaper. So if I compare in the good old times, maybe 100 years ago, we would go in a proper coffee house, like in Austria. We would find all over different newspapers, and we would have choice of this. But still, we could not really write it ourselves. So how can we customize the LinkedIn feed? I would rather like to see people we follow, existing contacts, and so that all sits there. So that's good. So when it is my industry, my hashtags I follow, my contacts, then it's all in my hand. So I can change that. So typically, it is set by top, sort by top, whatever top means. I prefer to have recent, the most current information at the top. And on any post where I am, I can click on the 3 dots and I get a menu. And on this menu, I can do things. So here was a post from Brian, whoever that was. And I can even unfollow him. I can report his post. But I can do a lot of stuff with that for every post if I want to. I can say, I don't want to hear from him. Makes no sense. And I can really improve my feed. So you can see this button there on the right-hand side, improve my feed. Then it gets me to this type of link where I can improve and really do this. So you know this from emails. When you every day you get emails from newsletters, and then you say, yeah, one day I will unsubscribe, but you never do. So you delete every day. Then here's the same thing. Look at it one day, get rid of what you don't need, and improve it. the trending pages you don't want to have, the recommended people you don't follow, and so on, so that you can change. And that's good. So my view is, if I go to LinkedIn, same for Facebook, same for Instagram, I look into the notifications tab. Not the home with the feed, but the notification. So there it's what really matters. Those who viewed my profile, for example, or mentions, those who like my work. You can see examples here. Thomas, who is the gentleman on the picture with myself here, the second line item, he and some others react on my post. This type of stuff is more relevant. Okay, then I can do something about it. I can reaction to some others. Some other people also commented on something. Or I wrote a comment there from a gentleman called Brian Game, and then he liked my comment. So then it's a bit more relevant to my network and myself. Job changes, those who started and finished. Birthday wishes come up there, which is quite good. By the way, Olin, happy birthday, we liked it. And then trending, everything like this, if somebody has been live, so that is more relevant than the feed itself. So therefore, my view, if you want to go to LinkedIn, click on notifications, and then you have that. Much better. Even event announcements like this one today, something was featured. The only thing what it needs is to have a proper, good personal brand on LinkedIn. Here's an example from Duncan Fish, an executive coach who really plays this well. You can see quite fast the service he provides, how he delivers his unique selling proposition, whom does he serve, and if there's some kind of partnerships would be written there as well. The good thing on LinkedIn compared to websites, it's a standardized landing page. We all know what is written where. The name is left. We know what to do to click on contact info. Everyone has the same thing. Websites are not the same, completely different. So that's a good thing. So when we have done that, then is the question, how do we plan? So when we already improved the way how to look into LinkedIn, that we go to the notification, what's relevant, so we don't waste too much time on the feed. How do we plan that? Question to the chat. Do you use a calendar to plan your social media activities? I think, Carl, you potentially do, or you could at least. I'll show you one. And to all others, in my view, most people don't. As most professionals in small business don't use a calendar, which is a pity. So let me show you how it could look like. So it would look like this. So first of all, let's think about which other activities which would be there. Today is Monday. Imagine it would be still Sunday. Normally, I prepare not more than 1 hour, maybe 2 hours per week to figure out what in the week I would like to do on the platform. First of all about educating. I'm a fan of planning and writing content in batches so that I write 2 or 3 posts at once, and I can use them whenever, so that I can adjust my calendar. I strongly believe it would be a disadvantage in posting too often, not more than twice per day, maybe 3 times per week is good, but at least 3 times per day so that there's enough traction. So that's the education part. Enjoying, you can use LinkedIn also to learn for your personal growth and learn how to enhance network skills and even improve curiosity. So it's a nice learning. I learned a lot from that, how to build relationships, what's new, going on in my favorite places and organizations like Advantage Austria. And then examine to figure out what works and what not. Capture some of what worked and document the effort in numbers. And the calendar that I just showed you, what we talked about, here's one example. That's a simple calendar in a Google Sheet from Hootsuite in a post which is written there, how to create a social media content calendar. Quite simple. There's a couple of sheets on it.
Sorry?
And it works quite well. Olin, yes?
Yes?
Did you want to say something?
No, thank you.
Okay, all good. So then this is one typical way. So if you would click on that link, then you can basically access this sheet and make a copy for yourself. That's a good way to create it. And then organizations typically they would have a tool to plan their social media activities. Here's an example from Hootsuite, just the latest version of it, but you can see a nice calendar view. It even tells in this example that there was a recommended time based on the engagement of people. So that the person where I got this from apparently has the best chance to post on Wednesday at 8, at 11, and later at 4. So that is now artificial intelligence based recommendation, which is good. And you can see that at 10 on Monday, there was a post that went out today towards Instagram. So in this way, it kind of might be good for you. Here you can see all social media channels, not only LinkedIn, in one tool. You can plan them, and you can do everything with it. That's quite nice. I like it very much. And then what I do, I monitor once per month at least to figure out some numbers. But I'm a computer scientist by my education, so for me it's normal to look into numbers. So just as an example, what do I look at? How many views I have over 90 days? That was around 1100, now it's a little bit less. How many contacts do I have? Back then, this is example from 2 years ago, it was 5,000, now it's 7,000, whatever, doesn't matter. My social selling index, which today is lower because LinkedIn gets it lower, that is just a number that they have, and I figure out just for the fun of it, how many posts I have which have 1,000 or 2,000 views per month, and the max of this. Okay, so that's just my view, but there's no need to do it that manually. There are even tools to do this. So what I also do, I have a list of my posts, those which somehow get nice engagement, so that I still remember them. I've done it particularly before I've been using Hootsuite, because back then I didn't have anything. Now I simply press on the report and I have this all. No need to do it manually, but here you can see typical examples, some of those, and the views, the likes, and the comments. It looked actually quite nice. So the purpose of this is, if I don't track my activities, then I do not know what works and what works not. And that is tricky. So therefore, I better do that. So when I've done that, and I have this in mind that I know I would post maybe 3 times per week, I figure out when is the best time for doing so, and I plan for the week. So that's the question, and I ask you, how much time we should spend on LinkedIn per day? How much time we should spend on LinkedIn per day? Before we had the question of how much we do spend per day, but a lot of this could have been based on time-wasting activities, like looking in the newsfeed. But now when you can see that actually when you have tools in place like a calendar, and when you have your content strategy in place, how much time you should spend on LinkedIn per day. So for me, it is 30 to 45 minutes. It could be even less. So then, Carl, when you said before 10 to 30, in my view, it's fine. You should stick to the 30 minutes, no longer, but at least you can get more out of it. So I'm not sure what you would answer there, but at least it's not about making it short, but make it more meaningful. And that I think is a good approach how that could work. So what during the week? I said 30 to 45. That's for me, but many have other roles. There's not always need be. So then what we do? We have 3 areas what we do for the week. We'll start with an E. So let's look into the 3 type of activities during the week, so meeting every day. What I try to do is to invite people into my network. And what I learned back then from my teacher was to say, if I invite 10, I could maybe grow by 5 every day. That was a time when I didn't have a strong network. Now with 7,000 plus, there's no need to gain to 10 or 20,000. 30,000 is the max anyway. So therefore, I bit more cherry picking who I invite. I watch who viewed my profile. There might be a reason for. And of course, I can respond to invitations. Not always to accept, but at least to communicate. So I engage with the people. I can nurture the contacts. I can send birthday wishes when they're genuine. So, and that I might have them, either LinkedIn reminds me, Facebook does it, or whatever. And depending the level of contact, I will send it on LinkedIn or a phone call or send a hamper like with Olin a couple of days ago last week. So then that I can do. So then at least that works. And sometimes even creating a short post. So the engaging part is actually what makes sense. So Carl, for example, when you are when on Advantage Austria, you are now opening up and you do whatever type of event, that of course you can engage again with some of your contacts, so that then when they then receive the message that you have a new event coming up, then at least they already might see that you already like the post or whatever. And then the next topic, establishes engage and evolve, is bringing discussions further to suggest a call or meeting. Now we can meet again, which is nice, and then we can request referrals also to others. That makes sense. If I say, okay, here is the, for example, when Carl, you are with Advantage Austria, and I recently spoke with a lady from the Slovenian Chamber of Commerce. It might make sense to do something together or introduce yourself, whatever, because I believe your neighbors with similar type of activities of countries of that size here. Something, whatever comes into my mind, I can try to connect people together. And that is how I get my 30 to 45 minutes per day around all of those activities. So I always say, give us game, and it comes with content. How can we share? How can we show that we care? So typically would be, we create content, but very often it happens, the right people don't see the content. Here's an example from Markus. Markus was my boss who hired me in Switzerland back in '99, now at Oracle, and he sometimes shares a lot of stuff, but often it's not really visible. So then that's sometimes very, very tricky. And the question is, how does it work? People have overflooded email inboxes, and their LinkedIn feed often shows not relevant or irrelevant stuff. So that's a tricky thing. So what needed here is, if I would want to ensure that people see this piece of content which I shared from Markus, because I'm not, he's in Switzerland, I'm not there, so then my network here might not feel the relevance for this too much. What I could do alternatively is I take that content and share it with someone. Here's an example from a gentleman called Lloyd. That was from 2 years ago. He went there to Israel and he found something which was very relevant to me, and he simply shared it this way. That was good. Really liked that. He could have tagged me into that post from the gentleman called Luke, but then it would be visible for maybe some others, and he didn't want that. But he said, hey, Gunnar, look, this one, that's missing in the security industry, he wrote, and that provides perceived value. So then he didn't pitch, he didn't push, but he wanted to get conversation going about what we talked before. And that's what I like. Use the LinkedIn messaging to send posts or articles. Rarely this happens. And how else can we do this? And when we already are on the LinkedIn messaging part, typically email inboxes are full. The emails or the LinkedIn messages getting full as well. It's easy to overlook them, because typically you can only mark them as read or unread, but that's it. You cannot do anything more. How to find it, how to disrupt this. What we could do, we can use voicemail and video messages on the mobile phone, only on the mobile app, not on desktop. In LinkedIn, on the messaging tab, you can have, there's this bar at the bottom. On the bottom right, there is this microphone button. Click on it, then you can speak a message that I've done here with Edward. I think, Carl, you know him. And it would go up to 60 seconds. And if you go through your LinkedIn messages, at least this blue bar is visible. Okay, then you realize, oh, might make sense to listen to this. Alternatively, you can also record a video message of 2 minutes. Difference being, a voice message on LinkedIn is going by, you need to hold it, the microphone button for the 60 seconds, and then when you release, it's gone. Not gone, then the recording is over. While when you want to do a video, you click on the plus sign, which you see in this image top right, as we can write a message and then a plus, click on the plus, and then a menu pops up and there's a video. I can click on video, then it starts, talk up to 2 minutes, and then you stop. That's it. And this way, you can disrupt inboxes, get your point across in a very sticky way. And also, particularly using video, it shows you as a person to simulate real live meetings. That I think is a good thing. Carl, did you use this? Voice and video on LinkedIn? Try it. You will surprise people. It's a good one. For video, we need to have good light, obviously. So I have an LED ring right in front of me. So if I don't use it, it looks dark. So then I better have it switched on. So that makes a big difference. It's a good one. So these were the things to make LinkedIn work a bit more efficient. How we prepare the whole thing, how we plan it, and how we perform it. It was basically just a set of these 3 topics. I will send the slides also, that with the recording you can go through the material. And as usual, the question of putting this all together. So what can I do? How can I help? So I help very often professionals at least to figure out if there's something that I can do to them, for them. There's discovery call for free. The way how I can help are then 2 things. One is to refresh the LinkedIn profiles, to turn from a CV style to a storytelling approach. That's that part. And the other part is I have an online course about LinkedIn, and that can transform your knowledge to the next level. That is not that long, but I think I found a good length and depth of the material. It basically has 4 areas. First, how to grow your whole online presence and your personal brand. How to connect, to ensure also your profile goes well. How content works in terms of commenting, curating, creating, and then also how to convert and engage with the audience. And there's even a set of a cabinet of a couple of tools and further recordings. Counted together, every of these modules start with a C, and some of the lessons start or with a C or with an E. So it was the only optic that I could do out of this one. So that's the course that I have, which currently is available for $99, not that much. Complete online, fully recorded. And as I have this already, I'm just creating another one. So this one here is covering LinkedIn. So that's good. And we know how the whole LinkedIn story works. But if you see it from a small business point of view, there's not just social media. There's not even just only LinkedIn. There's a lot more. Therefore, I'm now working, creating the slides for a course which I hopefully can still do recording in October. And I call it Your Online Business, Digital and Social. It will look like this one. So inside, not too different from the other one that I had on the slide before, but this time I have 5 modules to go over. First of all, it's all about the marketplace, not about yourself, your online business itself, but first starting with the marketplace. You can see on the left-hand side lessons. So if I take as an example, Carl and your Advantage Austria, so that I would rather look into your professional industry. Who are the people who are in that marketplace? Prospects, clients, suppliers, supporters. Plenty of roles that fit into there, for also market companions, also known as competitors, and influencers. So that's good. And then there's some exercise, how to create your ideal customer avatar or ICA, and another exercise to drive a competitive analysis. That's good for, particularly for small business owners, solopreneurs, to figure out how the marketplace works, where they are a part of that. When you've done that, then it's all about yourself, your personal brand, how to stand out, find the right voice, and how to learn actually pitching when you have the chance. and how the whole funnel management works to get people in there who should see your activities on digital media, on social media, and how you can turn them and squeeze the funnels towards end customers. Next point would be digital, not yet social, but digital. That means what actually is the difference from a website to a landing page? What is a capture page? What is an autoresponder? Why you need all of this kind of stuff? Which tools are out there in order to make that all stuff happen, and Google reviews and so on. So when your digital life is created, then comes the social media side. Looking, of course, into LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram, but also more the principles about how to write posts, how to not sell on the post, but how to use stories. Like Facebook and Instagram has the stories format, which can help actually to sell. I always say, use content to tell and stories to sell. That makes a big difference. So that covered in social media, and then finally how it all comes together. So that basically is a 5 weeks program. In 5 weeks, if you get one module per week, then you will get through and have a big difference. So that's my brand new online course. Very happy working through this at this moment. 25 lessons, 3.5 hours of recorded video, extremely practical. That's what I'm doing these days, what keeps me busy. In all of the lockdown times, of course, is a good way to be creative and create something like a digital asset. So that's this one. And then here, that's all what I wanted to share with you today. Here are my contact details and my LinkedIn community on Facebook, which I sometimes use to post something as well. Any question from anyone? Just I see, Carl, you say you use scheduling tool, not personally, but your company do one, so that's good. And yeah, looking forward to see you more active on the platform. Every now and then I share some photos with both of us at the New Surface Business Chamber from Better Times. So thank you everyone for joining. I'm happy to do follow-up myself with everyone who attended and wanted to attend. That's good. And looking very much forward to working with you more on LinkedIn.